Andres from AA Sports. Welcome to the Sports Passion Project podcast on this special YouTube channel where I talk about and break down the beautiful world of sports and things impacting the sports world like I am today in this video. And in this video, I will be talking NASCAR and more specifically Austin Hill's one race suspension and how that will affect his season and Richard Childress Racing. And after that, I will discuss some unfortunately shocking and heartbreaking news for the Venezuelan Little League baseball team getting their visas denied by the US government, how it sadly proves a point I made in a past video, and how it raises serious concerns about the US hosting major sporting events going forward under this current government. Before we get into the video, if you do find yourself enjoying this video on this Sports Passion Project, feel free to leave a like. And if you aren't subscribed already, feel free to hit that subscribe button as well to stay informed on when I post new videos and content. Trust me, it's worth it. So, starting off with some of the, least shocking news from the NASCAR Xfinity Series regarding Austin Hill, driver of the number 21 car for Richard Childress Racing. NASCAR has already set a precedent on this. They have already sent the message that you cannot right hook and pit a driver. They have suspended drivers for doing this before, intentionally pitting and wrecking other cars and drivers on the track. They've done this to their most popular driver in NASCAR, who fans will arguably live and die defending, in Chase Elliott. He was given a one-race suspension for intentionally wrecking Denny Hamlin at Charlotte. We all remember as well how last year Austin Dillon had his playoff eligibility revoked last year after intentionally pitting Logano and Hamlin on the last lap at Richmond as well. The precedent, it's been set. The message has been loud and clear. The line in the sand has been drawn, and NASCAR has maintained this precedent as after the crash involving Austin Hill and Eric Almirola at Indianapolis, Hill has been given a one-race suspension and will not be racing this weekend at Iowa Speedway. RCR has announced that Austin Dillon will be driving the number 21 car to fill in for Austin Hill at Iowa. And this has serious implications for Austin Hill in terms of his season and the playoffs. With this suspension, he will forfeit all of the playoff points, 21 playoff points in total that he has earned this year during the regular season. Come the playoffs, because by missing a race, he will have to get waivers for playoff eligibility by NASCAR. And come the playoff races, where points are, most important to advance to the next round and not get eliminated. This is not good for the number 21 team at all. And it doesn't matter if he gets more playoff points in the remaining regular season races, they will all be forfeited. It sounds harsh, but when you look at what happened and that incident involving Eric Almirola, I think NASCAR got this one right. As we saw in the replays, it was very clear. Eric Almirola entering turn 3 at Indianapolis gave Austin Hill the bumper. He got loose. Austin Hill, was annoyed by that. He was given the bumper by Eric Almirola, and it got him loose entering that short straightaway towards turn 4. But Austin Hill, as you saw, because he was wearing bright gloves while driving, he managed to save the car and was still side by side with Eric Almirola entering turn 4. He still had a chance to defend his position on the exit of turn 4 down the front straightaway. He probably could have still kept the position, but frustrations took over. When he saved the car, he then immediately wrecked Eric Almirola. Entering turn 4, you see he was wearing white gloves while driving. You see him turn the wheel to the left, take out Eric Almirola, and it was a dangerous move. It was coming out of a short straightaway, entering turn 4, and the part where they crashed, the part of the wall that Eric Almirola hit, it was not safe for barrier. It was a cement wall, not cement. It was a concrete wall. It wasn't safe for barrier, so it was a harder hit. Definitely not a good look there. Austin Hill was given, I believe, a 5-lap penalty after that by NASCAR. And it didn't help that he pretty much cussed out NASCAR on the radio for the penalty and the investigation regarding the incident. If anything, that was pretty self-incriminating right there. And what's really telling is how RCR didn't bother to try and appeal the suspension, especially because he's the top driver that they have defended a lot in the past, you know. And they essentially threw a past driver that they did have, a past teammate of Austin Hill, under the bus to essentially defend Austin Hill's status at RCR. So again, for RCR to not bother to try and appeal this, it really does say a lot about this incident. Essentially, Richard Childress Racing was like, yeah, we know he messed up. Austin Hill is a known aggressive race car driver. He is not afraid to use the bumper and get rough while driving. We have also seen him rage and blow a fuse before. He punched another driver, Myatt Snyder. He punched Snyder on pit road after wrecking him during the race at Martinsville a few years back. He wrecked Cole Custer under caution last year. And this is something that really did not age well among the NASCAR fan base, and what I was kind of referring to just a few seconds ago. He threw his then teammate, Sheldon Creed, under the bus, and he and Childress completely disrespected and insulted Sheldon Creed. And all this, plus what he did to Eric Almirola at Indy last weekend, is exactly why he isn't a Cup Series driver full-time. He has the talent. He's won a lot of races, but the self-control and that discipline and to keep a cool head, it's not there right now, and I think that's what's holding him back from being a Cup Series driver. The precedent has been set. Hill very clearly intentionally wrecked Almirola, and it's time for him to face the music for his own actions, like other drivers have done. So I do think NASCAR got this one correct. Moving on to the second and final topic, which is a doozy. And before I give my full analysis on it, just a reminder, I only discuss these political issues when they begin to affect the sports world. Don't expect me to all of a sudden be pumping out a bunch of political content. I'm not going to be doing that. Like, don't even bother if that's what you're thinking when listening to this segment. I said this in a past video where I explained the issue of the ICE raids and a lot of the anti-immigration policies of this current American government. And I addressed how like this would be only once in a while when I feel it's beginning to affect the sports world. And this video is kind of like, I guess a second part or adds to that video, I guess, because in that video I stated that a lot of these anti-immigration policies and travel bans biased towards certain countries was causing fear among members of these communities in the United States and tourists from those countries to where, you know, they were not going to the international football matches for the Gold Cup and even the Club World Cup, and that they were unjust because to be going that far to where it's affecting sports, something that historically has united everybody. I had also said that this could spill over into potentially affecting the tournaments themselves. A team, you know, magically getting visas or whatever waivers of permission to travel to the United States, that they could potentially be magically revoked. I talked about how there are serious concerns about that and getting visas for 2026 and how these new and harsh policies will hurt the sports world. And unfortunately, usually when it comes to a sports take or prediction, anything regarding that, most sports journalists are quick to brag about being right. Well, in this case, this is one of the cases where I'm not very happy about being right, as unfortunately, what happened this week regarding the Little League World Series and the news there, it sadly proved my points that I made in that past video regarding the ICE raids at these football matches. It proved my point perfectly. Politico, along with various press and media outlets that are set to cover the Little League World Series tournament, reported that the Cacique Mara Little League team from Maracaibo, Venezuela, will now be unable to compete in the Little League World Series this year, which is being held in South Carolina because they were denied visas, and with that, denied entry into the United States amid the travel bans imposed by the current executive branch. Just really, really heartbreaking news. This team of young and talented kids from Venezuela playing baseball, played well, and played their way into a spot in the Little League World Series, only for the host country's government to say, no, you're from Venezuela, and we don't allow people from there to travel here. That's basically what happened. And the team was trying to do everything right. And in fact, to their credit, they essentially did do everything right. They were well aware of the travel bans, the sanctions, I don't know, travel tariffs, whatever you want to call them, whatever they're called. The team was well aware of them, and they tried to get visas the right way while avoiding trouble with the travel bans that were imposed. The articles and press reported that they tried to get their U.S. visas at an embassy in Colombia with the intention of planning to take a layover flight from Venezuela to Colombia, and then from Colombia to the U.S. to, again, avoid trouble that could arise from the travel bans. This team of young teenagers with their coaching staff was doing everything to essentially avoid stepping on any policy or political landmines, and doing everything to make this incredible dream happen for these players. If you know that any good youth baseball players in the little leagues playing on a really good team or teams, they dream of playing in the Little League World Series. Qualifying for the tournament is just a peak, top accomplishment for them. They earned their spot, but the U.S. has essentially blocked them despite trying to avoid political landmines. It's really, really a shame. And because this team played their way into the tournament, finishing first in Latin America qualifiers, and were then willing to go extra to avoid political trouble with the travel bans, it sadly proves the points I made in my last video when I addressed how the federal agents were spooking fans away from international football matches. It proved all my points perfectly right. These anti-immigration and xenophobic policies and practices by the government are now affecting the sports world, unfortunately. Our government supposedly claims these bans are for, national security because of Venezuela's socialist government, and because the president has claimed in his campaigns that, I guess, Venezuela sends their criminals and mentally ill over here, which is a false claim, by the way. Most Venezuelans flee the socialist regime over there to live in a place where they can simply have a free opinion on anything. But socialism, the socialist government, okay, yeah, you can place sanctions on Nicolas Maduro and top politicians in the country, sure. But, what has a youth Venezuelan national baseball team ever done to the U.S.? What did they do? How are they somehow a threat to the United States? They're just kids trying to live their dream, playing in the biggest baseball games of their young lives right now. And it's worth noting that this comes after the Cuban women's national volleyball team was unable to enter U.S. territory for a tournament in Puerto Rico earlier this month. Their visas got denied amid travel bans imposed on Cuba as well. And both of these, what's happening with the Cuba women's volleyball team and the Venezuelan baseball team. This all comes after this current executive branch in the government had sworn they would make exceptions in the cases of sporting events. Clearly, that was yet another lie by this current government. Our government pretty much profiled them because they are from a socialist country. They are, they pretty much said because they are from a socialist country, they are socialist baseball players and can't be allowed into the country. It's deplorable by our government to do that and make this decision. As I said before in my last video, no one deserves to be harassed or dehumanized, regardless of their background or where they come from. Whatever country these players are from should not define who they are. Yet our government is sending a message that it somehow does. And it sadly proves my points from my videos addressing the ICE presence at the stadiums. It proves those points perfectly. These harsh policies are affecting the sports world now, and they should only make sports fans more worried in the long term when the United States hosts the World Cup next year and the Olympics in 2028. As of now, Iran's national team, which is included in the travel bans, has qualified for the World Cup in 2026. Venezuela's national football team as well, they still have 2 World Cup qualifying games in the CONMEBOL region in September, and they can still qualify for 2026, whether it's directly via their qualifying format or through the Interconfederation playoffs. With one country under the travel ban already in and another that could also qualify, what is going to happen when they apply for visas? And what about fans who care nothing about politics, have nothing to do with any sort of political establishment or government, and they just want to experience the World Cup and these sporting events that are held in the United States, like this baseball tournament, the Little League World Series? Will they also get their visas denied because the government will profile them and somehow align them with their home country's government? And in 2028 for the Olympics, this is an even bigger concern. And ironically, and should this be upheld, it's worth noting, should the Venezuelan Little League team still not be able to get their visas and not be allowed to compete, they will be replaced by a team from Tamaulipas, Mexico. And Mexico and its people are already not seen, while they don't have travel bans, they're not seen favorably right now by the current U.S. government either. So what is going to happen to other foreign teams competing in this Little League World Series? Will they be denied visas? The government right now sees actions like these under its xenophobic policies as questionable and as cruel as they look. The government sees it as if it's this badge of honor. And if you think it is and that this is normal, I will tell you right now, it's not. There is a very serious, a very real possibility that we might have a scenario, and with multiple major sporting events set to be hosted in the US over the next couple of years, there is the possibility that we have scenarios comparable to the 1936 Olympics and the 1934 World Cup, where sporting events here could be overshadowed by the actions of the government. And the government potentially, through these discriminating policies, magically revoking or denying visas. By doing that, meddling and trying to influence the outcome of the tournaments for a certain team, specifically American teams. The government banned a Little League baseball team simply because they were from Venezuela. I don't see how you cannot be worried about the government and its travel bans and the discriminating policies affecting sporting events in the long term. What happened to this team and the Cuban volleyball team? They're serious red flags. Red flags that argue that the U.S. should not be hosting any major international sporting events right now. the government does not seem to be ready for the influx of tourists that will come with these events. And it seems like the government doesn't want them here. And in that case, it raises the question, why does the US even bother? Why do they even bother to host? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. In my opinion, I think the Olympics and especially FIFA should consider hosting their major events. They should be ready to host it somewhere else. The World Cup especially. They should consider an option where they should potentially host only in Canada and Mexico, or at an alternative, like a designated emergency venue, like Germany, who did very well in hosting the Euros in 2024. Yeah, it's just really crazy how this is beginning to affect the sports world. And teams that have played their way in, earned their spot through the most meritocratic means possible, how it's affecting them and how they're unfortunately they're getting denied the opportunity to play in these big events because of actions, of policies, rules that really they have no control of. Again, and unfortunately the prospect of at least the World Cup, the chances of that, the prospect of the FIFA changing host venues, very unlikely. I mean, there's not really a dictator in the world that they're not kind of, buddies with. They held a World Cup in Russia, then they held it in Qatar. They fast-tracked Saudi Arabia's bid for 2034. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what happens with major sporting events being held in the United States, especially international ones, going forward. I think there are some serious concerns. And what's happening with the Venezuelan Little League team is proof of that. It's no longer speculation. The idea that these policies, these anti-immigration policies, these xenophobic practices are, that they have the potential to affect the sports world. It is now, unfortunately, reality. And, with visas being denied like this, when they swore that they would make exceptions for these sporting events, it shows it is affecting the sports world, and there are red flags going forward. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Just a friendly reminder, this is the one exception. This is the one exception where I do talk about anything political. I only talk about it when it affects the sports world, and in this case, it did. And it affected the sports world around baseball. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about Austin Hill's suspension as well. Did NASCAR get it right? Do you think it was a little too harsh? Did Austin Hill have a case in terms of intentionally wrecking Eric Almirola? Was it justified? Let me know in the comments below. Yeah, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see what happens going forward this weekend and going forward with the sports world. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to check out all of my other content from the Mexico national team, the San Jose Sharks. I have a lot of content and shorts about the San Jose Sharks as well. I also went to the NASCAR race at Sonoma. I have videos up on the channel for that as well. Feel free to check out those videos. Leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.